talk series event. Innovate and lead entrepreneurship for engineers. We are thrilled to have such a diverse and enthusiastic group of participants join to this event. Your presence here reflects your commitment to learning, growth, and innovation. I'm Madhushan Nilangakon, a volunteer of Industry Application Society, Sri Lanka chapter, and I will be your compy for today's session. To formally kick off our event, this is my honor to invite our chair, Mr. Janitha Dissanayake, to deliver the welcome speech. Mr. Janitha has been a delivering force behind many of our initiatives, and his dedication to fostering innovation of leadership within our community is truly inspiring. Janitha, the spotlight is yours.
Thank you, Madhushan. I hope I'm audible. Good evening, everyone. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all for the first talk session of the IEEE Tech Talk series, Innovate and Lead Entrepreneurship for Engineers. We are thrilled to have such a distinguished audience and esteemed speaker join us today. To kick off the exciting series, we are honored to welcome Professor Ranjith Dissanayake. Professor Dissanayake is a senior professor at the University of Peradeniya and the president of the Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka and a visionary founder of GAP HQ. His remarkable contributions to the field of engineering and his leadership in promoting innovation and entrepreneurship make him perfect speaker to launch our series. Also, I welcome our host, Bhanuka Dayawansa, Vice Chair of IEEE IAS Sri Lanka chapter. Today's session promises to be an enlightening and inspiring experience as a Professor Dissanayake shares his wealth of knowledge and insights on the crucial role of entrepreneurship in engineering. His expertise and passion for fostering innovation will undoubtedly provide valuable perspectives for all of us. We encourage you all to stay tuned for the upcoming talk sessions in the series, where we will continue to explore and discuss the intersection of engineering, innovation, and leadership. Thank you once again for joining with us. Without further ado, please join with me in giving a warm welcome to Professor Ranjith Dissanayake.
Thank you for the warmly welcome, Janet. Now, we are moving to the most awaited movement of the event. We have our Vice Chair of Industry Application Society, Mr. Bhanuka Dayawansa. I would like to hand over the session to you.
Thank you, Madhushan, and thank you, Janitha, for all the nice words. So I think we are here to talk about one of the most timely topics, especially considering the current status of the country. By the way, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
so, yeah, and I think we have brought the discussion for this for today's discussion is entrepreneurship for engineers. So I think it's like merging two vast areas, entrepreneurship and engineering. I think would be one of the most prominent things that's going to move our country forward, considering all the downfalls we have had in the recent past. So there's no other person. I personally don't think there's any other person in this country who's qualified enough to talk about this topic other than Professor Ranjith, because he has been a renowned academic, a practicing engineer, a consultant, as well as a founder of multiple companies. So good evening, sir. I hope.
Good evening.
Yeah. So once again, I would like to thank Professor Ranjith for joining us today because he had another event just a while ago, and thank you so much, sir, for your time. So, sir, first thing we'll start talking with why engineers need to do entrepreneurship. Because as you know, if you look at the current norm of the country, most people, they look at entrepreneurship, a business person, in a bit of a negative way. Rather than, if you look at the schools, even they don't promote entrepreneurship, but they want their students to be engineers, doctors, but not entrepreneurs. It's like a second, like a backup plan mostly. So engineers are people who have actually done well, excelled well in the academics, and they are actually some people who actually has good prospects in the industry also to find jobs. Why would an engineer get into entrepreneurship? Why should the engineer be motivated to do entrepreneurship?
Okay, Banuka, thank you very much for inviting me. Banuka, I am almost like 10 minutes away from my office. Maybe once I go to the office, I can talk freely and comfortably. But anyway, let's start. I'm still on the way, but I hope I can manage it. Right. Because entrepreneurs they are they work on their own. They become leaders. They work hard, but they work according to their the timetable. Right. Of course, the successful entrepreneurs are rich. They can buy, they can spend, they can do what they want. They can declare on their own holidays. They don't have to specify time to go to the work. They are free, right? Then of course, a human. I think most important thing for a human being, I believe, the freedom. So you can get to your freedom much more than the working for the company, uh, being an entrepreneur. Therefore, I believe if everybody knows the taste of the entrepreneur, they will become entrepreneur. But Bhanuka, not like becoming becoming the employee of a company. So when you have the degree and if you know the certain thing, you will be given the job and you go to the 8 o'clock and finish it 5 o'clock, and we can leave and you can get that. You can of course you can live comfortably on the. But in order to become an entrepreneur, you need a lot of skill, right? That is what everybody cannot become an entrepreneur. If somebody want to become entrepreneur, he will have to master many things, right? Yeah, because we talk about the very successful entrepreneurs, but we never talk about the failures. We don't know the failures. It won't come to the media and so forth, right? Therefore, coming back to their questions, somebody can become a successful entrepreneur. This is where you can enjoy the life. But you can become entrepreneur if you are not a good manager. Still, you struggle much more than the person who is working for the company. So you should know how to delegate your works. You have to understand what are the if you have the 10 tasks, you have to understand which tasks I should do. What are the tasks I can delegate? Maybe if you do the 10 tasks, you can get the maybe 70% out of everything. But by delegating, you may get the 50%, 55%. But you have to be satisfied. But there are certain tasks that you cannot get the best performance. Only that point you have to get it. Therefore, you have to be a good manager. You have to delegate the power. You have to understand it. Otherwise, you again become somebody who is the selling something in the petty card, right? Therefore, you have the best management skill, right? Right. Therefore, coming back to the again your question, I think becoming entrepreneur is a much more than an employer, but becoming entrepreneur is not that easy. And again, without proper qualification, if you become an entrepreneur, you will be suffer much more than working for the company. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I think it was clearly answered.
Okay.
And so we mentioned about certain skills that that engineers need to possess multiple skills to enter. It's not just basic skills, right? So what skills? I mean, engineers, of course, they possess a diverse amount of skills by the time they graduate. Apart from these skills, what other skills do you think engineers need to possess?
Yeah. What are the other skill? So you must have the management skill. You will have the time management skill, right? You have a very good PR. You should do the public good speaker. You will be able to argue and win your case. All right. You have to be genuine. That is very important, right? You have to be sincere. Likewise, you have to be kind. I can tell you the many qualities that we are talking about. You have to be with that, right? Well, you say if you are not genuine, you can sell something today, right? But when you try to sell it same thing tomorrow, they will not buy it. So you are not genuine. Therefore, you have to be genuine. If you see some problem there, you have to tell, I'm selling this one, but there is a issue. But if you have this issue, call me. Then when they found that issue, they will call me and that there is a problem like this one. Okay, that is what I told you. I'll do the replacement. Likewise, you have to genuine. You can do one business today, right? You can earn some money, but you can continue, right? Therefore, there are so many qualities. Almost all the you put the just type qualities of the human being. You get the list of the thing. You must develop these things. But other than the financial skill, financial management, right? The power delegation, these kind of things you should know. But there are certain other things also. Before delegating the power, first you will have to understand how to do it. So without knowing the job, if you go to delegate it, you don't get the best out of it, right? Therefore, you should be genuine. You must speak one thing, and then you should do the same thing. Right? You should have the hidden agenda if you want to continue the business long time. So these are the qualities that I'm thinking about. I'm just telling you. Basically, you should be a genuine person.
Thank you, sir. I think that's advice I think we can actually apply not only to entrepreneurship but also for our lives.
Yeah, life also the same thing. Yeah.
Another challenge most engineers face is that when they try to enter the market, it is somewhat taken. I'm most talking about the Sri Lankan context, it's mostly taken by certain much more established companies. So it's very hard for them to break this monopoly and put their market inside, put their product inside into the market. How do you suggest for aspiring entrepreneurs who are just starting up with certain products to enter this market?
Yeah, that is so. There are because it's like if somebody is selling the family, if you try to sell the family, even he will reduce the business. I will also reduce the business. I don't at least reducing the margin. Many things are there. Therefore, no point of the repeating the what others are doing. Ideally, right? But there are certain cases you can depend on the area and depend the type of the you can do it. You can. Another one is of course there are big companies. They try to grab many things and do it. That is also there. So then you know that is where the innovation is important. So you have to innovate something which is not available in the market. I mean, that is also not that easy. So what I say, we said go for the adaptation and innovation and sustainability. So what I basically do, I'm traveling a lot around the country, around the world. So wherever I go, I'll see some products, some businesses, some ideas. So I'll adapt it. So I'll bring it to the Sri Lanka, not bringing actually while I'm there, I'm sending the detail to Sri Lanka. Then I'll ask them to innovate. And then I'll make sure that that will be sustained. So this is the what usually cycle I follow. Adaptation, innovation, then definitely that product will be a new product to the market. If I say something like that, when I was doing my postdoctoral studies like Japan and US or both, I know there's a huge market for the structural assessment. Right? That means there are so many old structures. Even the US is still trouble. Many countries are struggling. So then I found that the structural health monitoring and retrofitting and so forth, there is a market. So while I'm doing the research, I established a company to renovate the whole building and rectify and so forth. So therefore, the company's been there during last 10, 15 years. Right? So I adapt something which is happening in other country and innovate. Of course, I have been doing the research in the area. And I make sure that it's sustained with the company. But in order to sustain, our people have to read, go to the seminar and literature review and the new papers and various way. They have to be updated. Otherwise, you can't survive. If you know something, you will be keeping somebody else will learn it and do it. Therefore, always we come up with the new technology for the industry. So that will be provided. Therefore, my suggestion is if you want to go for the new the business adaptation and innovation and sustainability is the key. But of course, if you can go for the model like innovation and sustainability, that's fine. Some people new thing innovate, right? Maybe something like maybe Facebook, right? Something new innovation, right? Sometimes Facebook will be adapted by some other group where they are coming is Instagram or something like that, right? Then, but they also make it sustain. Maybe they go not for the type of the Facebook, but they go for some other area and they try to be sustain also. But it's hard to find out something very innovative and make sure that the market it. Therefore, best thing is the adaptation and innovation and sustainability.
All right, thank you so much for that. So now we are talking about innovation. So engineers are known for innovation, but one thing most engineers do is they innovate something, they come up with innovation, and they basically go publish. Maybe if it's an academic scenario, they publish their work. If not, they get a patent. If not, keep it as a trade secret. But they do not go into commercializing it. So, do you think for engineers there is that sort of fostering ecosystem in Sri Lanka for them to start a startup, build a startup and develop? And if not, do you think they should consider doing their startups elsewhere other than doing it in the country?
Yeah, I should say that the environment or the country is not a good platform for somebody to do the startup. Because even from our universities also the same, even in the industry also the same, because we don't have the a culture compared to some other country like maybe Thailand or somewhere else. But of course, though having that is, but we have been academic, those who are in the front of this everything engineering faculty, we have to make sure that we understand that the uh, innovation and entrepreneurship is the promising pathway for the development. Therefore, we have to support the industry, student and academia for the making sure that there should be a startup. Therefore, we have been doing the research with the several grants from the European Union to establish the university industry collaboration, right? Because we know that we are in the very low level of the startup and this one, startup and so forth, right? But we have to educate the people. We are doing it, but to answer your questions, starting the start is not that easy. But again, you have to understand that I said at the beginning, becoming an entrepreneur is a very, very important, very interesting. Therefore, if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to have the startup. Therefore, you should do the startup. But as a policies, as a country, we must change this culture toward the making sure that the more and more entrepreneurs will be produced from the universities, from the research institute, and there should be different kind loan scheme. Government should encourage the people to become entrepreneurs, because otherwise government cannot handle the number of people are graduating. They cannot provide the jobs. They definitely need to have a entrepreneurs culture and let companies to absorb this youth who are coming out of the universities, and otherwise definitely there will be huge the population of the country. Why? Because there is no opportunity. Therefore, we must create it. Therefore, the again answer your questions. Simply, environment is not good for startup to start the startup. But we, being the academic and the senior, the people of this country must keep on encouraging the. That is why I established the GAP headquarters. GAP headquarters is the vision of the GAP headquarters: green innovation and entrepreneurship. What is it? Sustainable innovation go toward the company. So that is the making the startup, sustainable startup. I hope I answer much more than you expected.
Yes, yes, it was really a very good answer. Sir, because you mentioned your GAP quarters, I think you have been providing support for aspiring startups through funding and all these things through your institute. One of the biggest challenges, I think, most of the engineers face when they are going into the startup business is how they can secure the capital that's required for their company. So
Right.
some people actually have practice of putting their savings, investing them in the startups. Some people might try to find investors and give a huge portion of their company to the investor, maybe 40%, 50% of the company to the investor, as for their, as a this thing for their reward for the investment. What do you think about this? How do you think the best option is to go for a funding to develop the capital?
Yeah, that is a very good questions, as well as a very good barrier. So it is like the personal we have to address. Let's see, if somebody graduating, say that he doesn't have the money to establish. Their parents are also not that quick to. Therefore, even whether you have money or not, my recommendation is to join to a well-established company, understand the systems there. Right? Whenever people come to me asking for the start the entrepreneurship startup, I always say that rather than starting the business right now, few years, at least 3-4 years, work for big company where you can learn the system, right? So then once you learn the system, once you have the capital, maybe you can just think about. Then of course, based on your salary and so forth, you can even get a loan. But always try to make sure that you do the investment rather than you take the calculated risk. There are certain the sometimes, of course, during that period you get married. Usually after graduation, 4 years means you get married. Sometimes I say, okay, first, if you and your wife has a reasonable job, let wife to continue the job while you try to find out the establish the company, right? So then you have a decent income coming from your wife. Then of course you can sacrifice the investment and the various things toward the company. And again, you can get the calculator. Keeping her, showing her salary also, you can get the loan. But always make sure that you, of course, doing the startup or business is risky, but always try to go for the kind of calculators. Right? Because I have through my career, I have done some risky investment, but I do not recommend to go for the high risk. Right? That make your life miserable. For example, say if you go for the investment just before the COVID or something like that, you will be will be in trouble because of I know that during last 3-4 years, uh, the 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 business is not good. Therefore, you will be really will be in trouble. Therefore, always go for the calculator. That is how I think one way. I'm almost came to my office, so that I'm going to park the opening at the opening Manuka, I came to my office. Can you allow
Yes.
like 5 minutes? Like
Sure.
I'll can be
Right,
settled
we
in.
can pause this one. Everyone, audience.
Give me a 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
Yes, sir, sure. I think so. Professor Ranjith was actually at an event today at an IESL inauguration. So he was traveling, so he didn't want to delay the event further. So he thought of joining while on the way. He's reached the office, so we'll be joining in another 5 minutes. So we'll continue the discussion. At the same time, if you all have questions that you want to be asked, because I think the discussion is mostly being focused on engineers who are into entrepreneurship. So since the target here is to focus on how an engineer can enter the entrepreneurship market. So, but I know there might be people who are from other domains here who probably might wish to ask domain-related questions that's related to their domains, their fields. So I think you can put your questions in the chat. You can direct them to me. If not, you will get a small session after the session to discuss small 5 minutes, depending on the number of questions, a small window for you to raise your questions. So in that also you can ask. But if you want to add your questions also into this discussion, you can just drop them in the chat.
Manuka, I'm back.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. So we'll start with where we stopped, sir. Yeah. So there is one question that someone asked.
Okay.
I think since that's related to the cost and cost handling and capital management, she's asking, how do you handle cash flow management with the income taxes while doing the business?
Right. Good question. How do you manage the income tax? Actually, now we are at the point where we have employed the people. They do the financial management, right? And they now for the paying the tax and various other things, they will calculate the tax and like. But but if you are starting the business at the beginning, you will have to do these things your own, right? Otherwise, you will be in trouble. I'll recommend you to do the financial management also yourself at the beginning. But when you come to the uh, certain level, you will have to recruit the people. So that is how I do. Then automatically every month tax and various other things will be paid. The financial part is a very important part. But you should also at the startup level you should also know how to do that. Otherwise you will be.
All right. Once again, I will ask another question that's much more related towards engineering. So most engineers practice as consultants. I think most of the engineers who are senior, current engineer level engineers, mostly they
Yeah.
take part in consultancy. How do you think? How feasible do you think for these engineers to start their own consultancy firms? I know they are starting their consultancy firms, but the chances of them growing is a bit limited. They are a bit isolated. I'm not sure whether that's because they are not managing it as a business, just they want the business name. How do you think a consultancy firm can grow?
Yeah. Here problem is that one. Of course, most of the engineer are good at their subject. So if they get the design, they can calculate the reinforcement and so forth. Right? Designing is good. But what happens is how much you are good at the subject doesn't matter if you do not get the job. Therefore, marketing is very important. So therefore, you have to bring the jobs to the company. If you could not bring the jobs to the company, how much good you are, it doesn't matter. You won't be able to. Therefore, what I see, the answer in your questions, people start the consultancy company, but they can do the job. If they are not getting the job, you can't continue them. Therefore, for example, even I do have a consultancy company. Still, I have to find out the job. I'm basically good at finding the job, but I have a good team of the people. They can do the job, but if I'm not bringing the job, they don't have the job. Therefore, I have a little the problem. We don't get the job because I am very recently, last 5, 6, 7 years, I was so busy and engaged with many other activities like the Green Million Council, IESL, Chamber of Construction, plus many things. So that I spend much more time on my social service than my companies. Then, if there is no good person to bring the job, these companies in a problem. That is not only for the construction. Construction is the same. Consultancy is the same. We have the manufacturing. All our companies has a serious. Some companies has a good managing director who can bring the job. But if there is no marketing people, therefore you can start the consultancy company. But if you are not good at marketing, you will not be able to sustain it. For the sustainability, that is what I told at the beginning. To become an entrepreneur, you should have a lot of qualities. The PR, right? The speaking, you have to when you grow and grow, you have to go to the parties. You have to talk to the people. You have the decent business card. Then once you get the 10 business card, next day you have to talk to or send the messages. Get the contact. That is then you have to become a member of the club, like a Royal Gold Club and various clubs. You have to go to these places. These are you people. You meet the people. Then only when you say that, okay, I have this and okay, let's move. That part is you have to move with the people.
All right. So
Okay.
I think if I summarize, networking is going to play
Networking is very, very important.
and at the same time, so I think something that I got out of your answer was the personal branding. So, if I go and ask for a job, then Professor Ranjith Dissanayake goes and asks for a job, obviously you are going to get the job because of your expertise. So, personal branding is going to be a key role when you're running a consultancy firm. So, when you're going to finance this, imagine you're going to do consultancy for a building. Is that the finance or the cost that you're going to or the amount that you're going to charge from the client is a function of the personal branding level? Is it something that's dependent on personal branding, or is there like a standard level that is governed by IESL or some other entity for engineering?
No. It is personal branding, right? So just to tell you some of the things that say that I have like 2 cars. So I have been invited to a company. Okay. Then sometime I ask my people, okay, now today we are going to that company. Where do we have to park your car? If they say that they're just in front of the factory, I would like to go with the best car that I have. Right? Why? Because we have to show that we are rich. That makes sense. Even when you invite your room, you have to make sure that the room is a good quality. Right? Otherwise, people will not do the job. So therefore, we have to dress well. You have to be very pleasant. You have to be clean. There has to be smell. You have to be nice. You have to go to the salon almost as possible every week. Yeah, right. You have to be looks very nice. Huh? These are important. If you want to do a job in a company, it doesn't matter. You just wear. But if you want to become a businessman, you have to. Yeah. Some situation you have the branding. The branding make a difference. Whether you like it or no, if you want to go with the corporate world, you have to work like that, right? So that is the secret. The personal branding is a very, very important. Anything and everything. In business, it's a big deal. In consultancy, that is a big deal. Sometimes you can work here and there, but you have to show. So if you are a, say in my case, I'll do the structural health monitoring or assessment of structures. So when I talk somehow, we are the one who did the Kalni railway bridge and we did the money museum and that we have to, while talking, I try to bring this thing. Not that I go and tell that, oh, you do, I did this and no. But we start talking. Then during the discussion, I try to show that I have done this kind of thing. So when you go to this high-rise building, and okay, we are the one who did the design review to improve. Actually, we did it. But we have to within the discussion we have to bring it. We have to convince the people. That is important. Okay, Bhanuka.
Yes, I think that's also very clear. So yeah, into the last few questions, I think there's maybe like two more questions that we have time for. One thing I want to ask. So there are people, so there's engineers who are in the industry. So we were focusing mostly about the engineers who are practicing in the industry, how to get into the entrepreneurship domain. Now there are certain engineers who are in the research field as well. So you are one of the most renowned researchers in the country. So as a in a researcher's point of view, do you think there is a chance for researchers to get into entrepreneurship? Do you think they should get into entrepreneurship? Do you think it's possible? Because some people think that they are somewhat, practicing engineers are much more practical. They use, they are, in connection with what's happening in the industry, but and in the world. But researchers are somewhat in their own silos, doing their research, not very much integrated with the world. Do you think? What do you think a researcher's approach should be? Because they might be developing their own stuff to get into entrepreneurship.
So Bhanuka, now end of the day, we are talking about the development. Even we look for the sustainable development. So in order to go for the sustainable development, we need the innovation. Because the way the population increase, where the environmental problem and so on, we need the innovation. But the no point of doing the innovation if the innovation is carried forward by the entrepreneurs to the development. Right? Therefore, we have done certain research. I mean, we can publish it and just leave it. I mean, no money will come to the country. You won't be poor. But then, whenever I do, maybe I'll do work on the structural monetary. But I have a capability of the building the company, therefore I do the building of the company. But if you are not capable of company, you have to join to the company or do the consultancy for the company. I have a product. I think that can be marketed. Why can't you do the marketing part or the investment part? Then you can have the joint venture. There you can become a technical director, there will be a marketing director and so forth. That is the way that you go. But I don't recommend, if you do not know the much about the business, it is better not to go for the business. That is my recommendation.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. So before I go for the last question, which is more of a closing note, I think it's better to open it for the audience to ask any questions that they have about entrepreneurship. By the way, once again, this discussion was mostly oriented towards engineering entrepreneurship rather than general entrepreneurship, because the target audience was engineers who are willing to get into entrepreneurship. But I think sir must be very much open to any questions from other areas as well who want to get into entrepreneurship, typical entrepreneurship questions. If you have your questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask. If not, you can just drop a message in the chat. So please feel free to drop in your messages. On that note, I will ask the final question. If there's any questions, we can accommodate them during the last few minutes. But I will proceed to the question. So it's much more current topic I want to talk about. So you know, Sri Lankan economics has been very volatile these days. You know, the election is coming in a few months, and so there might be people who have lost jobs. There are people, civil engineers mostly have in the past few years lost jobs. There are mechanical engineers who lost jobs. They probably are thinking of entrepreneurship as a pathway. So I think you have given told in the very beginning that you have to have a lot of skills, and entrepreneurship should not be a backup plan, but rather a full-time thing that you have to commit. So this message is for the people who are trying to take in entrepreneurship. Maybe with different intention. Maybe as a survival plan, maybe as their own mainstream. Considering all the volatile conditions in the country, considering the future, there's many more technical innovations coming up with AI and all these things. Uh, what's what sort of final note you want to give to the aspiring entrepreneurs of the country of Sri Lanka?
Right. Banuka, as I said that if you can become an entrepreneur is the best thing, right? Because then you have a more free time. You are so relaxed. You can travel around the world after earning the money. So many things are there. You can buy anything that you want. It depends on the person to person. You can dress well. You can buy the big, the comfortable vehicle, and so forth. That is once you become entrepreneur. But of course, as I told you, the becoming entrepreneur is survival as the entrepreneur is no. Because if you really don't laugh at the people, you can't become entrepreneur. If you do not understand others' feeling, but you can't become entrepreneur. But whether it doesn't matter, you laugh it or no. If you are doing a job, you can do the job and do. But even the survival of the job, you have to when the boss come, you have to laugh it. Otherwise, boss get upset now. So you have to have the certain qualities, right? So but then the management, financial, these are important areas. So then, if you are so good, maybe you can have a joint company. You can join, but never try to be joined with somebody who has the same qualification as you. No point. You always try to find out the partner who has a different skill than what you have. Same, therefore, then this kind of companies will be there. Then after that, you have you have to maintain the quality, both parties. Otherwise, this joint venture will not go long. Well, most of my partnerships are almost going like the 10, 20 years. Reason behind I have a different model because there are model called win-win situation. I'll go for the win 1.2 win because my partners get more benefit than I get sometimes. I run a few companies, they run one company, so I will give the more benefit to them. Then survival is there. So that kind of qualities must be maintained. Therefore, I think coming back to their question, if you have the skill, if you have the know-how, start. If you have all the ingredient and the finance and you can do it alone. Otherwise, you go for the better partner. A partner, ideal situation, not the partner. You have to understand where you are weak and you can do a SWOT analysis. What is the strength? What is the opportunity that we have in the country? What are the weakness that I have? What are threats that we have? So if you can find out somebody who will be better at the weakness and threat, then match over. Something.
So yes, thank you so much for that explanation. It was very inspiring. There's one more question someone has asked directly. So they're asking whether the age is a barrier to start a business.
No. Even you do know that the Kentucky established his business at the age of 65, as I remember. And that is one thing. Other one is I think Saitam Medical Faculty established by I can't remember Mr. Noel, Mr. Dr. Noel Pranado, at the age of almost 75 or something like that. But unfortunately, he couldn't continue. That is because of our dirty politics in the country. But I think today I saw that the NSPM and Saitam is going to establish the medical faculty. But they established at that age, right? So it's not a barrier. But ideal the age of 35 to 40 ideal, then you have a lot of rooms to for you to play around. I established, started my businesses because I did basically after my PhD at the age of 35. Huh? So then we have a lot of ups and downs, but basically still up and down are there. But now, as we have the few companies for a given month, of course, some companies are doing very good. They are very stable. They have the fixed deposit and various other things. Some companies are not so, but we can manage it. Some, because otherwise, if we have only one uh, um, um, C company, maybe I may have closed during the COVID period, but I never closed any company. Resource sharing and money sharing, various other way, trying to manage the company. But establishing the first company is not an easy one. The second, third, fourth, but maybe if I really want the next 2-3 years, I can establish another 3 company. Doesn't matter. But the establishing and survival of the first company is not that easy. There are ups and downs. So some situation even we had to sell the asset and survive the company. But again, it went out. Then some situation we could get the good partners. We got the good partner for the construction. Very recently, one of the factory was in trouble after the COVID. That is we making the big. Then we went up with the joint venture with Access Engineering. Thereby, company was booming.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Any other questions anyone wants to ask? Please feel free to unmute or up in the chat. We can accommodate them. It seems like that's all of the questions, sir. So on behalf of IES, I would like to thank Prof. Ranjith Dissanayake, the President of the Institute of Engineering Sri Lanka, IESL, who is also Senior Professor at the Institute of Peradeniya, founder of multiple companies, and also someone who has actually been a mentor and an inspiration for so many generations of so many people of the country. So thank you so much, Professor, for spending some time from your busy schedule to come here and deliver this insightful discussion, to take part in this discussion. So I would like to thank Professor Dissanayake, and I would like to hand over to the dear Abhishan to continue from here onwards. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Ranjith Dissanayake and Bhanuka Dayavansa, for those inspiring words. Before we conclude our event in this evening, we would love to capture this moment with a group photo. I would like to invite Janita to coordinate this. Janita, could you please guide us through this process? And this is the token of appreciation for Professor Ranjith Dissanayake.
Thank you.
Thank you again, sir. And please turn on your cameras, and Janita will lead us to the group photo. Kindly turn
Hi,
on
everyone.
the cameras.
Yes, thank you, Madhushan. Please turn on your cameras and we'll take a picture quickly. We'll give Yeah. On my three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay then. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Janith.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, I would like to remind you that there are many exciting events and initiatives coming, com- coming up with the IEEE Industry Applications of Society Sri Lanka chapter. To stay updated and connected, please follow on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you all for your participations and engagement today. We look forward to seeing you at our future events. Have a great evening.